Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded by Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer Richard Wicca, and also we appreciate Tom, who's helping him produce the show. We also think of WBNY, our friends at Buffalo State University's original alternative radio station for Buffalo, that is WBNY, where we're grateful to be part of that team. And when I think of gratefulness, I also think of our Indigenous friends, our friends of color. I think of how we're on stolen Haudenosaunee land that was taken through trickery and violence.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of that, our Indigenous friends start everything out with gratitude when they do a ganonyo to recognize all the people who made the event possible, the Mother Earth that has given us everything we need for a good life here, our living waters, which water is life, and the wonderful plants and animals and all the different elements of our beautiful world here, as well as the whole sky world, the brother sun and grandmother moon, and then of course the creator and all the love that animates it all. And same with our friends that who were enslaved and brought over here against their will. There's still such a spirit of gratitude that comes out when people are saying ashe or really appreciating. So we're full of appreciation, and I just, as the indigenous people say, Nyahweh, which means all glory to the Creator, and then the people say no. So Nyahweh.
No.
No.
Thank you. So I'm very excited about our show today again because we have great friends, longtime activists and organizers, just wonderful people who are really working for the common good. And our subject today is No King. So it's really about how to deal with what's going on in our country right now, some of the events that are going on locally to help us deal with that. And I'm just so thrilled to, first I'll introduce Shawn Marseille. Shawn, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Hi, thank you very much, Vicky. Thank you for having me.
So, Shawn, I'm so excited. We won't get you singing because this is all talk Mondays on the radio. But otherwise, we could maybe later, or maybe at the No Kings rally. So, besides being a wonderful artist singer, you're also an activist with our city Action Buffalo. It's such a great ally and wonderful organization. So, thanks, and you've been an MC at a number of these rallies. So, thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you. I mean, what if I thought about all of that? But I really do appreciate it.
I do know about all of that. So I can say that. And I want to say the passionate way that you do everything you do. I just really, really appreciate you so much. So grateful to have you here and all that you do.
Thank you.
Kathy King, and you've been such a help right along. I mean, not only is StandUp Western New York doing all kinds of wonderful work, but you are just a real can-do person and just very civically oriented and involved in the Western New York Peace Center Youth Programming Initiative. We're just very grateful for you and to have you join us, Kathy.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to talk tonight.
Oh, we're so glad you're here. And last but not least, Mike Hogan. So, Mike, you do almost everything that needs to be done, or the most important that need to be done for the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. Did I get it right?
Huh?
Yeah, that's correct. It's
District 4. See, I do, and District 4 too. Well, because you are just. I want to say that your voice is so important too. You really, and you're so clear and courageous bringing your voice, and I really appreciate you right along. So thanks for coming, Mike, and all you do.
You're welcome. I was honored to get the invite. Thanks, Vicki.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we'll have fun with this show, and I hope the people who are listening will have fun with it and get energized and inspired for all of our next steps, of which there'll be plenty. But one step by step, you just take one step at a time. And so speaking of that, so our first step is usually, so our topic is No Kings 2.0. So we had a No Kings rally. There were, probably 10,000 people gathered in Buffalo, New York. It's probably the biggest rally that we've had. And the before that, the Women's March had been the biggest. We had that on 2018 was huge, but this was even if anything huger, at 10,000 people. But anyway, so that was No Kings, the first one. And so now we're at No Kings 2.0. And that's what our program is about. And so, as what we usually do is talk about what are the values we want to think of, what are the values that are important in this topic of No Kings. So we'll just go around, like a talking circle. So Shawn, will be Shawn, and then Kathy, and then Mike, and then me. So Shawn, what do you think of for values related
Yeah,
to
so
this?
so a few of the values that we talk about that we have discussed even while we were ramping up to really plan this rally is, I would say, really just the values of humanity. And something what I'm big about is what's really called egalitarianism. So egalitarianism is really just equal rights, opportunities, and equal chances for all people of all identities and all different backgrounds. So from I've always considered myself egalitarianism. It actually comes from the really like one of the three pillars, or I guess like part of the motto of Haiti when they got their independence, being the first independent Black nation, as everyone knows, as I'm never going to let that down. I'm always prideful in that. So I think that definitely in that, like the three, and there's a song by one of my favorite pop artists. His name is Rudy Rude Boy. Love him, love his music. And he has a song called Drapo. And Drapo means
What's
flag
it
in
called?
Haiti.
What's
Say
it
it
called?
again.
What is it called?
Drapos.
Say
Drapo. So Drapo. I could also drop in the chat, but it's by Rudy Rude Boy, and it's a very fun, upbeat song. It's kind of in commemoration of like Haitian Flag Day, which is May 18th, and of course Haitian Independence Day is January 1st, 1804. And so in the song, it's in I think the first or second verse. He goes liberté, égalité, fraternité, and so liberty, egalitarianism, and fraternity or brotherhood.
right.
So I've always connected and resonated with egalitarianism, and of course, what's happening now with the Kings is, of course, the opposite of egalitarianism. I guess anti-egalitarianism would be totalitarianism. So, and we're seeing many of those facets, albeit, of course, in maybe it could become off as in the sense of joust. It can become off because of just the overall characterism that Donald Trump portrays. However, a lot of the harm is still there. A lot of what's happening, a lot of the antithesis of egalitarianism and humanity is still occurring, despite all of the theatrics and the spectacle that tends to happen with this. So, a lot of the egalitarianism, and I feel like another value is really I want to probably touch on later is action. I feel like spectacle tends to be it's a lot of reactionary things that tend to happen. It's the same thing. A lot of what's happening 8 years ago,
Mhm.
even 40 years ago, or 7 years ago, and so on and so forth. Like it tends to repeat itself. And so a lot of the spectacle and reactionary things that we see is Jimmy Kimmel like getting off the air for like 2 days, but he was fine, or it's like Jimmy, or like the Colbert Show. But then it's like, okay, these things are happening, but at the same time, it's like that's not it's not relevant, and it's not really things aren't really still there's still a lot to actually be done. Things actually happen instead of just reacting on Twitter or Instagram to these posts or even this King's rally. It's more about actually continuing to drive the action and making it happen, because nothing really happens without the people. So it's really egalitarianism, coming in action with unity. and solidarity. So I think a big part of the theme of the rally that of the march to happen in just a little over 2 weeks is to understand why we're all here, why we're for a common purpose, and so
Hmm.
coming together in that. And so I think one of the things that we're working to do is really having everyone be familiar with one another and understand that we are together and essentially common blood and for the same thing and wanting for the greater good. So that division is it's just like really not an option when for this rally and really for the entire foundation establishment of what it all stands for.
So
So
wonderful.
definitely egalitarianism is the biggest one. That's where it all links to for me.
So the egalitarianism, unity, and action, as you mentioned,
Hmm.
which of course, uh, our city action, Buffalo. So we need all of those things. So thank you so much for that, and I want to hear that song maybe on the 18th. But anyway, so Cassie, what would you say some
Well,
um,
I just,
your values that you
yeah,
think of?
well, I would say I tell 100% agree with Sean. But I also think it's like respect and bringing back respect and dignity. I mean, so many people have been, the vulnerable people are just, it just, the things that are happening are just so unspeakable and unheard of. And it's just, it, they are being taken out of the picture without any cause. And so I really feel like the No Kings 2.0 march is really about standing up for the people who can't be there. And we have to represent that. We have to show that it's not okay to disappear people and
Right,
to just without any reason, because it means that anybody can be disappeared, and we won't have any recourse or any way to bring people back. People being shipped off to Venezuela into these prisons, and they've done nothing wrong, and then we can't get them back. I mean, that's, to me, that's just it's just the trauma of that, of those people. It's just painful for me to think about how that's, um, what we're going to have to clean up, when hopefully we get past this terrible time. And I think one of the things that we can recognize with the No Kings is that we as a group it's a common goal, is the fight against authoritarianism. That's
right.
really what it is, and to unify, to be united in that fight together. That we are all working for this, because it affects everybody. If not
So
just today, not just tomorrow, but it's like generations. This is if we don't do something and stand up now, then it's just going to be more difficult for future generations. And one of the things I just want to share is like Indivisible has come up with um, a training program called 1 Million Rising, which is really educating people on, activism in the moment. And one of the things that they're saying is that the No Kings, really, there's this concept of non-cooperation, and we can do it at an individual level, in a collective, where we have groups coming together, and then we have mass
so
non-cooperation. And that's
so
what No Kings, I believe, is really, it's an example of a mass non-cooperation.
So bringing it back to the values that you're mentioning are respect, um, dignity, and the rule of law. Really, that habeas
Yeah.
corpus matters, that the rule of law matters, all of that, and yeah, there's lots of groups that are working on it in all kinds of ways, and we're glad that all of you are here and part of that. So thank you for those all of that. And Mike,
Hmm.
what would you say for values you think of in this connection?
I would say for the values, what we're trying to do with No Kings is show people that the current administration essentially, it's dominating the country, it's dominating the news, it's dominating everything, and they are showing the people that all the worst vices of humanity I mean, every one of them, you could go down the list. So I think one of the most important things of No Kings 2.0 version here is to show our that empathy's not dead, that there's still kindness in this country. I know a lot of the world is despairing about the state of America and questioning Americans. I'm ashamed of that, as we all should be. But I would say the two biggest ones are empathy and kindness. And then with this second rally, with the coalition that we've got of over 20 different not-for-profits, community groups, unions, the third value is really the solidarity of it, that we're going to stick together. It's the only way we can get through this. It's the only way you can get beyond the despair of the moment, that we have to stick together. Don't carve out your little silo and try to put your head in the sand and just say, I hope my group's protected. We are seeing a lot of that, and we're seeing a lot of appeasement to this dictator by universities and lawyers, law firms, and corporations. Everybody's, history's already shown you can't appease a dictator. So we have to show empathy, show kindness, and maintain solidarity at whatever cost.
Right. Well, thank you so much for those. So kindness, compassion, solidarity, very big. And actually, I'm going to stick with the ones I usually think of, because I think they're first of all, they're just nuances, a slightly different emphasis on all of the things that we're saying. They're pretty much all in sync. I think of truth and love. So the truth of what's going on, not, the lies or the hiding or the, misinformation, disinformation, or just downright lies that are going on, or shading it, or people in denial, not getting the information to know what's, or even having the courage or the information to know what's really happening. One of those two. So truth is so important. Gandhi, satyagraha, truth seeking. What is the truth? So it doesn't mean necessarily everything they say is 100% wrong, or, depending on who you're listening to. But the point of being, what is true? So there are facts, and those facts help us understand what's going on. And then love, that we love each other, that we care about each other. That's back to the kindness, compassion, solidarity, respect and dignity, and egalitarianism, liberty and fraternity. All of those things, is because we love each other. We want people to have that. We want to have it ourselves. So, Dr. King said that that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. So that's sort of what I think of. And, I really appreciate all of you and your courage and the courage that is part and parcel of the activism in this situation that we're in. So, so maybe if we go around, thank you for all of those values. If we go around and talk maybe a little bit about the situation we're in, and sort of, and you can bring in about the First Kings rally if you want to, just a little bit, your take on the major factors of the condition we're in, which a lot of that comes through, even in, as we were talking about the values, but just, digging a little deeper into that. So, Shawn, what would you say about what's going on today?
So, I mean, for me, it's just another day in the office. I mean,
Right.
it's just, I feel like that what's been on my mind, and I feel like what is essentially happening is that white Americans, for the first time ever, are their privilege, that barrier between them and essentially America, is being compromised. And that's not a good feeling, that's not, but it's like, for us, it's like, that's something that is, and they don't know what to do with it, because they don't have the skill sets to learn how to deal with that, to deal with those emotions, because they don't know what they're feeling. If you don't know what you're feeling, you don't know how you're going to act, you don't know how you're going to act, then it's just, you don't know what's going to happen. And then it's just going to be madness for yourself. So I remember And I mean, like, I could take up the whole 40 minutes, 40 hours on this, obviously. But I'll break it down, what really resonated with me, I want to say 3 years ago, is that in the BBC there was this one featured speaker. I think his name was Dr. Khan. And I think he was Jewish. I think he had connections to Holocaust survivors. And so he mentioned how he
What?
took a trip I'm sorry, say it again.
He had connections to what?
Holocaust survivors.
Okay.
So yeah, and so he said he went to. I think he and a group of his went to Rwanda, and it was, I believe, the 28th anniversary of the genocide there. And so, of course, from 1994 up until 2022, 2021, there have been a lot of changes or drastic improvements in the quality of life, with HIV rates being like drastically lower, life expectancy being significantly higher, quality of life being higher, the nation of Rwanda being on the rise of, like, being a technological hub. And they came from one of the worst genocides that was completely overlooked by the United States and all this type of stuff. And so he said there were three things that the Rwandan nation had, or the Rwandan communities had, and really like non-Western civilizations have, that we don't. And so he broke it down to one, I think it was community building, conflict management, and identity exploration. And I feel like that these three facets, or these three like pillars, are are very much like in dissonance, or like in disconnect with, honestly, like Western society. Like the fact that a lot of what we embrace is individualism and really crisis farming, so to speak. Like I think like people like tend to, like, they don't know what to do with problems. Take, for example, the pandemic. That was obviously mishandled very bad. The way people treated each other was just not in line with that. And identity exploration, I feel like that's very large. And of course, the definitely the LGBTQ community, being the safe spaces, having like the struggle for a safe space for
Mhm.
even Black LGBTQ people, people of color, ethnic, and people of different nations who are also LGBTQ, trying to find that safe space for themselves. So it's multi-layered, multifaceted. So I feel like the individualism, I think Mike touched on, where people are just kind of every man for themselves. That's exactly what they want for them to continue to win, so that they can continue to push their agenda and really the demonic things that they're endeavoring to do. That's going to continue to happen. So I definitely feel that the like a lot of, and there was a New York Times article that tied in with what Dr. Khan was saying, with those three things of community building, conflict management, and identity exploration. Was in the New York Times, that said how in the 2020s people feel like that life is over and the world's ending, but then in the 90s everyone seemed to say that it was all good. But technically speaking and statistically speaking, the quality of life in the 2020s is actually better than the 1990s. It was only because it felt better and it perceived better as white America. And that's really the reason why, like, a lot of more of, I guess, the noise and the spectacle is happening, because for the first time ever they realized that their social security might be impacted, or their certain jobs are going to be impacted. Their quality of life is, for the very first time, they can't avoid it. They can't just go ahead and turn off TV and pretend that there's no Rwanda genocide that literally killed between 500,000 to 800,000 Africans. I want to say what is it, the Hutus and the Tutsis, and so like that all that happening, the fact that even 200 years ago that the Congo Free State with King Leopold II basically murdered and mutilated like at least 15 million Black people. So, and slavery, as we know, so it goes on and on and on. But I think it's more of the fact of the doomism people want to grow into, and just sitting there tweeting on their perfectly nice home, when there are people out there in Haiti and Palestine and the genocides with Palestine and the Congo and Sudan that is still not known about, where people don't even have even a cot to sleep on. But then here you are, still having what you have as solidified privilege, that you can use it for good, and to learn how to deal with what's happening and educating yourself, because it's just not going to go away. It's just actually having the steadfastness to be able to navigate through this and to come out of it better.
Well,
So I
thank you.
think that, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're so right. I mean, I love the way you it made it very clear. And it certainly, I've thought that too, is that for other people, and we've heard this from, it's only obvious in some ways that for white people, it's or straight people or people who've had privilege, of
Mhm.
whatever degree, to all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is what other people have been going through right along. Certainly with the racism that was endemic to this country, the way the indigenous people were also treated, but, certainly racism and the, enslavement and all of it. I mean, just the whole dark history, I want to say the horrendous history of the
Mhm.
injustices that were, and the white supremacy of this country that we've been working our way out of, and now we're sort of sliding right back into, that was sort of brewing. Anyway, I want to get
Yeah.
on to Kathy. What would you say about the situation? And you did say some very good things about how, all the people being abducted off the streets, et cetera. So
Mhm.
please.
Well, I feel like right now we're in a situation where the current administration is really just trying to throw everything at, they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do, throw everything they can possibly at the wall and put a bunch of stuff in there to distract us while they're busy behind the scenes tearing everything down. And so we become overwhelmed with all this stuff and we don't know what the truth is anymore. And I think when I really love, you just keep it very simple. Truth and love is kind of like, we kind of go back to the principles of like there's just and that's what the authoritarian regimes do, is that they put a bunch of stuff out there to misinform people, to make people stupid about what's going on so that they can go and do whatever they want. And I think that's one of the things that's been very disappointing is just the lack of leadership, and in our elected officials, but also in our institutions, and the lack of, the backbones. And it's like one judge says something, and then but like everybody else is like basically kowtowing to the administration so that they're not doing. So I just feel like this isn't the No Kings is really an opportunity for us to really rise up and stand together and try to like make some sense out of it and bring the truth to light. I mean, I think that right now the truth is, like I was just listening to a podcast and they were talking about how Larry Ellis, who is like a media mogul, he is basically going
Oh,
to control. They're going to own all these. One family is going to own like 80% of the media. CNN, CBS, and then his son owns, and his son has like Paramount. So it's like the whole network is like, and that's all being fed. So all this news and all these things are being fed through like one media source, one group, and it's just so there's just, I feel like the No Kings 2.0 and any of these rallies is really an opportunity for us as people to kind of do some level, hopefully some level setting and some not mass non-cooperation to kind of point out that we're not going away. I hope I mean that's my hope, is that to really kind of point out that we're not going away. We're not going to, we have to bring light to the truth, and we have to proceed, with kindness and empathy. I mean, because I feel like there's just so much cruelty, and that's what happens is like, that they do that for fear, to make people fear so that they won't stand up. So
right.
I think this is just a way for us to be able to stand up together. And again, yeah, I agree with everything too about how the people with privilege are finally seeing like what it is like to experience, be a little bit uncomfortable,
Right.
where, because it's not like, and hopefully that's gonna, that group will then become allies, because they can use whatever privilege they have left,
Right.
to stand up for those that don't have that privilege or had never had that luxury. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And Mike, what would you say?
It's kind of funny as Shawn and Kathy were talking, they both touched on the point I wanted to make. And, Shawn said it's easy. You can just sit in your house and turn that off. If it's on the news, you don't like that. You don't want to see that awfulness going on somewhere. You turn it off. Kathy talked about the consolidation of media.
Right.
I think there's an underlying stream here on why we are where we are. And I don't know what the future holds unless something's changed about it. But the failure of our media is epic proportions. The fourth estate is failing this country. There's been a long game in play by the elites and the billionaires. They have consolidated the media. They've gotten all the social media now, pretty much. TikTok is going to be theirs with a cohort of evil billionaires, pretty much, that are going to run that and filter it to make it tell the kids just what they want. You watch it every night on any news you pick. The liberal MSNBC is owned by a Trump supporter. It's all filtered for us. It's all normalized. They have normalized Trump's awfulness. Everything he's done is impeachable. It's unconstitutional act after unconstitutional act. And you sit there and you watch all the mass media, the mainstream media, and they both sides everything. And they allow it. That when they eliminated the fairness doctrine years ago, that started the precipitous fall. And you saw the explosion of Fox News and the misinformation, and Rush Limbaugh took off because he didn't have to have an opposing view. And then when you buy up, Sinclair buys up all the radio networks and the TV stations. So in these rural areas, what do these people hear? They've been brainwashed for over 30 years to buy into these culture wars. And so we sit here and we fight each other. Oh, I'm afraid of this group or that group, and I don't like that color of skin and this color, and I'm afraid of it. It's all fear and division, and we're fighting each other in a little bowl, and we're not looking up at the top who's laughing at us as they steal our money as we fight each other. The media is the bigger underlying concern to me. That is the problem. Something has to be done. We'll never get out of this cycle. We're repeating what happened in the world almost 100 years ago. They're using the playbook, okay? And if they don't like being called Nazis, maybe they should stop acting like Nazis. Right. Because that's what we're going to call them. If you act like a Nazi, don't be mad when we call you Nazis. So something's got to be done. I don't know the fix. I say support all the alternative media, all the small media that's popped up on social media sites, and follow some good media. You can still go outside the U.S. to try and get Al Jazeera, BBC, CBC, I think, in Canada. You have to literally escape the confines of the United States media, because our mass media is owned and operated by billionaires that want to put us down, and they're fine with Trump because they're lining their pockets. That's what it really is.
You're so right. You are so right. I mean, you're singing my song, which actually, especially when you were talking about the fear, and it makes me think of, I sang that very song today at Temple Beth Zion, Kol Haolam Kulo, which is, the whole entire world, or life itself, is a very narrow bridge. And the only, you were there too, Shawn, I know you were, that, and the only thing is to never be afraid. So that fear, it's not the only motivating reason for violence, but it's one of the big ones. Greed is in there, power mongering is in there, those things are in there too. But fear, especially for the people who aren't really calculating and scheming, or even the fear can lead to calculating and scheming. But anyway, it's so true that the things that are happening it's the old, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. But it's
Hmm.
not just about one person. It's a whole, like you said, there's a whole movement that's been going on that's consolidating power and using. And when we look in history, you can sort of look sometimes, there's like, well, the people and the part they play, but then there's the social movements. So it's always person and environment. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. So anyway, so I want to move on to the actual thing that we're talking about, this Trump 2.0, which is going to be in Niagara Square on October 18th. We do have 30, I think 34 co-sponsors is the number, the current number, 35, maybe 35 co-sponsors, and certainly plenty of people interested. And there's Indivisible, and there's 5051, and all. I mean, the Buffalo United Coalition, that is this coalition of all of these groups like WNYPC and all lots of unions. Certainly, your union, IUPAT District 4. And the Western New York Peace Center, our city Action Buffalo, Stand Up Western New York, so many great organizations and many, many more, 35 of them, that are getting together at 11 a.m. in Niagara Square on Saturday, October 18th. And I do say that next time we should have it as somebody who's there's a lot of people, in the Jewish community who would like to join in, so we might want to have the next one on a Sunday sometime. But in the meanwhile, I mean, the coalition has been very active, supporting this rally and other rallies, whether it was the Women's March or, we have Solidarity with Gaza coming up this very Friday that's October 3rd at 3:30 p.m. in Niagara Square. Also, this Friday, October 3rd, 3:30. And so all are welcome. That'll be kind of interfaith and certainly just about, solidarity, like you were saying. So let's talk a little bit about the upcoming event and what you all would like to share. I know we're all been working on it from different aspects, or some of them the same. I know Kathy, you and I are both on the promotions committee. But so Shawn, here, you go first. What would you share with us? Any sneak previews you can give us of like who's speaking or anything like that?
Well, I'm a
Are you
magician
gonna
and artists
are
never
you
reveal
gonna
their full secrets,
are you gonna
but
sing? Are you gonna
say it
sing?
again.
Are you gonna sing?
Well, maybe.
I'm hoping so.
I'm definitely
Anyway,
gonna
go
do
ahead.
well.
Shawn.
As far as the solo, I don't know about that. I mean, I could, but like we'll see. It's still like we only
Oh,
have 15 days, so
we have some time to let us, you and I, talk because I really do have some ideas. But go ahead.
Right, yeah. So I definitely will be emceeing again, and that's not a surprise. So I guess I could say that. I'm very honored to do that. So I think this is my third or fourth. I mean, this is definitely I've spoken at several of these, but this is like I think my
Right.
third or fourth to actually do this, and it's like I'm just so blessed to be able to be on this, to be able to use this platform and this vision for good, for the greater good.
Yes.
It's just very humbling for people to come up and to a lot of thank yous, and I'm just a boy, like it's just like I'm glad that you are here and that you're listening. I think there's going to be a lot of fantastic groups. Like I'm also part of our city Action Buffalo, so we have wonderful committees growing, so much growth that has happened even from the first. I think No Kings. I think it was like what was it or
Mhm.
the first like that first mass rally back in April to
October
now.
5th.
Yeah, like it's just been
I mean,
so.
April 5th. Yeah.
Yeah,
April
and
5th.
it's just like so amazing to just see that and see more people, young people involved. That makes me so giddy and just like so excited because it's like us, like we got this is gonna be our world, And some like I think there's gonna be a lot of more I think music incorporated, like more communal music. I have some plans that I've like brewing up
Good.
in here. So you and I of course will are more private about that. So there are definitely like it'll be kind of function the same where it'll kind of be like three or four sections. We'll have several featured organizations and people from those organizations who have been like lifelong community leaders doing their thing and just really doing the just coming in and just what they do on a daily but more on a broader audience to really continue to light up the light bulbs really and to start for people to connect the dots and to really drive the point of unity, you know, like not having people come for 2 hours, just have this high and like feel empowered, and then comes one at 1 p.m. and then you're back to like doom scrolling again. So it's really just, I think, like with this, exactly. So it's really just having that call for action, emphasizing that. And I think, like, really just, and having that from start to finish and have that continue to drive on to from after 101 p.m. to October 19th, to October 26th, to November 17th, to
Right.
December 12th, and so on and so forth, to continue to have that being steadfast and consistent with what's happening. And so I think it's just having that educational aspect of it and to give people the continue to give them hope. So I'm excited. I'm just so humbled and honored to be able to MC it, and with my co-MC and Conversa, who's such lovely as well, and has grown so much, and even like starts like telling me certain things that like I like sent news about. Like she was like, I think last July, for example, the last thing, and I'll pass it off. She was like, "What happened in El Salvador? Like we need to talk about how it was an abduction." It was, and I was just like, "Girl, like." Where'd you get it from? I'm like, okay, like usually I'm the one that thinks I'm like, you know, I'm like, take it away. Like you would go ahead and like present this next session. Like the growth that people have been I'm just like, wow, like you go girl. Cause before it was like,
Right.
yeah, like kind of was like, wow, like went from like, wow, like I don't understand a lot of this, like kind of like the shame from the white privilege to be like, no, like we gotta talk about El Salvador, we gotta talk about X, Y, and Z and Palestine. I was like, okay, like it's good for me. I don't have to do all this for this is a nice change of pace. So yeah, like I really think it's just the focus and the intentions and energy continues to rise
Mhm.
and just do his thing. So but yeah, that being said, I really gotta start a crack down on what we're gonna do musically, but it'll come together. I'm not worried about that. But it's gonna be great.
She is great too. I want to vouch for Anne is just
Yes.
wonderful. And both of you have done such a great job. So many people have,
Thank
but
you.
especially in your roles there, just making it happen. And Kathy, what would you anything you hear about No Kings 2.0 or things that you've been thinking of or working on or hoping for in that?
Well, I just also want to acknowledge that I just think it's very impressive that this area, this region the momentum still is there. I mean, I know there's some lags and there, sometimes people not sure what's effective or not, but the fact that we're in October, when we've been doing marches and rallies and these things since the beginning of the year, January, and we're 10 months in, and I feel like it's kind of encouraging to me to see that there are still this momentum and it becomes more people are want to get involved. I think from StandUp Western New York perspective, we send out like weekly actions that people can do, postcards that they can kind of get involved in, and there's just been more. It just people, just so many people want to get involved, and I think that the No Kings is just a good way for people to kind of really see that you get some validation that they're not alone,
Right.
that there are many concerned people and citizens that are wanting to work together, come together and do something. So I hope that we can keep this going on, because right now it's really midterms. We're really working towards the midterms. We gotta have a strategy, and we gotta keep this momentum up until the midterm so that we can hopefully make some changes
Well, you're
that
so
are going
right
to
about
be.
that. And actually,
Yeah.
I just mentioned the rally that's on Friday, October 3rd. So for people on the radio, will be passed, and so will there's another one on October 4th that is a how-to on democracy. So it's more local facing, but it's another 50-51
Mm.
protest that'll be actually. Turns out that it was moved to 4 p.m. at Bidwell Park or
Okay.
Bidwell and Elmwood. So that's going on. But you're right. There's been just, every couple weeks, maybe on an average of every 2-3 weeks, there's another big rally. And that's not even counting things like we just had the Latin American Solidarity Committee of the Western New York Peace Center just had an event, which is on our YouTube channel, that is ICE and immigration courts. So we had an immigration attorney, and they've been doing a series, and we've just started putting it up on the website. So that we're going to keep putting it on the website for people who don't make it and who want to know what's going on. But there's so much going on. So, Mike, what would you say about the No Kings rally coming up, and whatever else you want to mention?
Sure. I would say the first rally, when we did the first one on April 5th, and we were planning it, and, it was, again, it was a broad coalition that was put together. Wynn actually had mentioned something. Brian Brown from Winkosh picked up on it, and then it kind of got cobbled together, and a group of us started talking about we have to do something. No one's gotten out in the streets yet. People are getting really upset. And the group just kind of picked April 5th. We got really, really lucky because that ended up being the No Kings National. And I think that was important for helping turnout, for sure, that we got lucky and we aligned it. We just happened to fall on that date. So I think the success of that rally partly was because the date that we were fortunate to pick. I think it was maybe just meant to be, destiny. And also, I really attribute it to the fact it is a large coalition, and everybody in the planning, we were all intent on keeping it very, very broad, very diverse, because everybody is under attack. And if I did hear from other union leaders that, I think that thing's too diverse. I think it's not focused enough. It needs to be focused on this issue or that issue. And they kind of thought it was going to fail because it would just be too spread out and not focused. And I said, I completely have an opposite opinion. I think everyone just wants to get out in the street and put their fists in the air and scream. So they need an opportunity. And you don't want to limit it. And there's a lot of thought put into the programming committee. They do an excellent job. I'm confident this time around. Again, we're doing a broad topic and discussions. And, so Saturday, October 8th, it starts at 11, and it's going to be a rally for an hour. It's very, very well put together. There's excellent singing. Shawn is an excellent MC. With Anne, my dog's barking. I'm sorry about that. But I'd say the second one I'm expecting to even be better. And then after the hour long rally, we've got it mapped out for a small march around from Niagara Square, and you kind of double back and come back to Niagara Square. So we're going to march, we're going to rally. I think the first one, I really got a kick out of seeing the creativity and the diversity of the signs. If nothing else, come out and see the wonderful, wonderful satirists and artists of Western New York skewering the president, and it's a lot of fun. We got really lucky the first time. I'm expecting God's good graces the second time around. It was pouring rain when we got there, 8:00 in the morning that Saturday on April 5th. And I looked at Brian Brown, cash out from Winkosh, and I said, this is going to be awful. And then literally half an hour before it started, the rain stopped, the clouds parted, the sun came out. And then when we finished with the march and we just finished cleaning up, it started raining again. It was a beautiful day. I expect more of the same on October 18th. I really would say if you're hearing this, seeing this, don't miss it. It's an incredible time. The energy in Niagara Square, and that you're going to walk away with, the positive energy, right? The love, like Vicky said. I was asked by some reporters at the event just beforehand on April 5th, well, how can you ensure there won't be violence? there was a lot of concern because this was the first big rally kind of anti-administration. And I said, I have no doubt there will be no violence. I said, look at our coalition. Look what we're pulling together. These are all people who love and kindness and compassion, old hippies. And we're lovers. We're not haters. I said, we're going to be good here. If anything, you might have a few counter protesters, and there was a handful, but it was fine. And the Buffalo police did an amazing job. I got to give them a ton of credit for the first rally. We expect nothing less for the rally on Saturday, October 18th. I'm excited for it, as I'm sure you all are too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too, very much so. And I just want to say, I think mass mobilization is something that's really important. Person-to-person connection, that for all the reasons that you said, especially when we're talking about media, because the media is all under surveillance and or under their control, of the control of the billionaires. So, so what we really need and what we really are doing is building our beloved community, building our ability to connect with each other. So I want to encourage people to watch that movie, A Force More Powerful. If you haven't seen it already, it's a movie. It's 3 hours. You can see it in 2 parts for free. Don't go to Amazon when they try to sell it to you. Called A Force More Powerful. But I want to quickly go around because we're really starting to run out of time, but just on focusing, especially honing in on how people can get more involved, which I do want to mention too. You do not have to pay for parking downtown Buffalo on a Saturday. So don't get tricked in or confused into that. But anyway, and if you can carpool with people, all the better. So let's just go around with a quick thing on getting people more involved or how they can plug into the movement, to making a movement. So Shawn?
Our City Action Buffalo, not a shameless plug at all. It is very, and not to also shameless plug, but our City Action Buffalo really does tie into what's happening in Buffalo and how to get involved with the election coming up and to get involved with everything that's happening from and connect you with all the other groups that we collaborate with. Things are going from whether it's Humboldt Parkway or environmental or school systems, educational, the board elections. Like there are so many things you can do there, and as well as at the rally, even before, there are so many groups that it's gonna feel like overwhelming. You're gonna feel like kind of like it's like when you're going to college and you see so many clubs, but then you go to the ones that you're most passionate about. Because what I learned from my A-Push teacher, who Mr. David Bush, if he's even watching this, like you're amazing and I'll always love you. He said that all politics is personal. And naturally, you're going to gravitate to what's going to be personal to you, what really has an impact on you. And whether like you have been fornicated by the system in some sort of way, it's going to resonate with you, and you're going to be like, maybe I connect with the environmental side of things, maybe I enjoy the social justice side of things, maybe I enjoy the ethnic immigration side of things. So just connect with what you like, and that's that.
Well, you all rock. We love our City Action Buffalo. Cassie?
So I know one of the things that Stand Up Western New York is doing is we're going to, in preparation for the No Kings, we are having a poster making party. So we're going to be, and I send out weekly emails that lists like weekly actions that you can take, whether it's a phone call, it's an email, or and then there's postcard campaigns that we work with Organized for Action, Western New York, and we coordinate and collaborate with them. And that's been very, it's just something that I think a lot of people just need something to do. And so it doesn't mean that, I think it's just doing something, it doesn't mean that you have to do, the things that you have to do don't always have to be big things. It could be the little things that you do, because that makes difference. That makes a big difference. So we're going to, right now, like Stand Up Western New York, we're working on our strategic plan for the midterms to kind of to try to figure out what steps we're going to take, what we're going to support. And so we're kind of doing some training programs for members or people interested in, like Activism 101 and the different things that we can do. So that's something we're doing to try to prepare people. Right now we're kind of recruiting and preparing people for the work that needs to get done.
Great. That sounds wonderful. I know you do such great work, and we appreciate you and both. So great to be allied with both of your groups. And Mike, what would you say for people to get
I
more
would say
involved?
that, people that want to get involved, obviously with almost 40, approaching 40 different groups supporting the No Kings 2.0. There's a lot of opportunity. You can pick your niche, your particular thing that you want to get involved in. We are going to have the League of Women Voters sets up a table at the rally. One, to register voters, but two, we're going to have flyers there with I believe a QR code to take you to a landing page that kind of links to all of the organizations. So make it easy for people at the rally to sign up, get involved, get motivated. I also was remiss. We're going to have the League of Women Voters table there with a lot of information. I encourage people to go visit the table. We also have a medical tent set up with medical people. We have peacekeepers set up. We have porta-johns set up. We have it all set up. Professional sound system this time, second time around. So it should be a good time. It should be easy to get involved. You just got to get down to the rally.
Yeah, just come on down. I could say, it feels good to do, the time is always right to do right. And that is part of it. And it's part of connecting with each other, building our community, our beloved community, getting ready for the solidarity that we need to deal with the issues that we have that are already, quite bad and, really threatening to get worse. So, we're all in this together. I'm so grateful for each one of you, for the solidarity, for the things that are coming up, for what we've already done, what we're doing together now, and to, in the future. So, and for people also, just talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, bring other people out, and keep building awareness and keeping our courage up. So all I can say, I'm so grateful again to each one of you for all the work you do, for coming on the show, for all our solidarity and our truth and love. Well, this is Talking Peace, and together we have been talking peace in truth and love. Very much. So fade